told people all my life, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. To have success, you need a dream. It was always my dream to play professional football. But without $40, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Straight back to pass, looking down the sidelines, finds Narcisse. He's at the 30, the 20, the 10. He's taking it home. Touchdown, Narcisse. Final score, 3rd and 10. And he throws it up underneath it. Touchdown! Don Narcisse.
Want me to sit right here?
Don Narcisse, scene 1, take 1.
My dream as a kid, I looked up to, his name was Lynn Swan. In the neighborhood, I would go out and play football in the street with a lot of guys, and you know, I changed my name to his name. They started calling me Don Swan. I was the guy that, I can catch the football, but I wasn't that fast. Wasn't that tall, but I can always make the one-handed catches just like my idol, Lynn Swan. When I was coming out of high school, nobody wanted to give me a scholarship. They thought I was a little too small and I wasn't fast enough. And you never know when you're putting in some work that from afar, somebody would give a good word in for you. Coach Williams put a good word in for me. He told the recruiter, he said, hey, this guy is a hard worker, he's always on time, and he can catch a BB in the dark. And that's how I got my scholarship. I played at Texas Southern University for 4 years, and I became one of the all-time leading receivers at Texas Southern University. We always have guys that's coming back to give the younger guys knowledge about professional football. It was one guy named James West. He brought this guy over named James Murphy. And the one thing they said about James Murphy, he said that he had caught 100 passes in the CFL and he led the league. And I was looking at him like, man, if he caught 100 passes, I know I can catch 100 passes. Well, it was this guy that played for this team called the Saskatchewan Roughriders. His name was Harold Smith. And he came over and he was like, hey man, Saskatchewan Roughriders are having a football camp in Shreveport, Louisiana. He said, you might want to go. So what I did, I called my mom, got on the phone, I called her collect, and I was like, hey mom, this guy named Harold said that the Saskatchewan Roughriders are having a football camp. So my mom was like, well Donald, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna send you $40, and I want you to give Harold 20 and you keep 20 for yourself. Next thing you know, I got a chance to go to that football camp. So we showed up, we got there at about 2 o'clock in the morning. We woke up that morning and the coaches were talking to Harold and they thought I was his little brother just hanging out with him. They never thought I was the guy that was gonna go try out for the football team. You know, I get out there and started working out, and Harold's a quarterback, so I had already been practicing with him. And then next thing you know, coach was like, Harold, who in the heck is this guy from Texas Southern University? He's like, yeah, man, that's Don Narcisse, man. And I was like, wow. Nobody knew who I was. At that time, I was 5'7", 165 pounds, but nobody can stop me. Nobody was able to cover me at the football camp. And I still remember going to Coach Greger and I was like, hey, do you all need any receivers? He's like, no, but we need you. And I was like, man. I never had that feeling in my life when somebody wants you. Coming out of college, all I wanted to do was play professional football. And right then and there, I was like, hey, I want to go to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. But when it came time to sign, they had this team by the name of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers had my neg list rights. And I was like, man, I don't want to sign with them because they already have James Murphy, the guy that I met before, and some other receivers. So I decided not to sign with the Blue Bombers, and I decided to sign with the St. Louis Cardinals. Nobody knew who I was when I showed up there. It was 13 receivers that they brought in. Got a chance to play in preseason games. Got a chance to make it to the last cut. I still remember it was 10 guys that they had to let go. And at 10 o'clock at night, I seen on the news that I was one of the 10. And the first person I called was my mom. And I was crying, and she was like, baby, you know, when one door closed, another one will open up for you. I had never been cut in my life. I went to the stadium the next day and got a chance to talk to the head coach, and he gave the little speech like, hey, just because you didn't make it here, you can make it somewhere else. So the receiver coach pulled me in the back room, in the locker room, and he was like, hey, Don, you didn't do anything wrong. I started crying. I was like, man, why y'all cut me? And he's like, man, it's just a numbers game, but you know, if anything else happened, we'll try to bring you back. And he said, by the way, it's this team called the Saskatchewan Roughriders keep calling here, and they want you to come down, but we don't think you should go. And I was like, man, and I'm saying to myself, I was like, y'all just cut me, and y'all don't want me to go? And next thing you know, it was this guy named Dan Rambo. I called him, and he's like, hey, we have a flight waiting for you. And I was like, man, I'm catching that flight. I had to call my mom, and I was like, telling her, I was like, hey, Mom. I called her collect again, and I was like, Mom, I said, Mom, I'm going to this place called Regina, Saskatchewan. And she was like, baby, where is that? And I was like, Mom, I don't know where it is either. I get to the stadium, and Brandon was like, hey, they want you to practice. I was like, man. So right then and there, I went out there and I had my uniform on, and they stopped practice, and they put 10 guys. They kept 10 defensive backs. They stopped practice, and they say, Don, we want you to run 10 routes. So my first route was a hook, and that was my favorite route. And I beat this guy up. And out of the 10 routes I ran, I caught 9 out of 10. I went back into the locker room, and they had this other guy that was number 80. They cut him that same day and gave me number 80. And I was like, wow, if they can do that to him, they could do that to me one day. And I looked at that moment, I was like, man, you always gotta be prepared. You never know when your dream gonna come true or when you gonna get tested. And I got tested right away. You know, once I found out that I was able to go to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, I never looked back. I look at those $40 that my mom gave me, the rest is history.
Boston's going to pass. He's got Narcisse wide open. Good call by Saskatchewan, and Narcisse is end zone bound. Lorenz tried to get there. He couldn't, but the pass is completed, and Narcisse is heading to the end zone.
Narcos down on Narcisse.
The reason why I put up the football camp is that when I was a young kid, I never got a chance to meet a professional athlete until I was 21 years old, and I got a chance to meet James Murphy. I want to give these kids an opportunity to meet a professional athlete at a young age. And by doing that, you can emulate the things that these guys do on the football field. And I tell you what, the guys that's in my football camp love it because they were a kid one day and what it takes to be a professional athlete, and it starts with a dream.
The reason I coach at Narcisse's football camp is because it's all about giving back to the community. This community that I've grown and love here in Saskatchewan, the people are so giving. I feel like that I have to give back myself, and that what better way to do it than teaching and helping kids play the game that I love so much.
It's pretty cool because not only do they get the chance to meet a professional athlete, but they really learn about working hard and discipline and commitment and being able to get along with your peers. Those are all really important values and lessons that you need not only on the football field, but more importantly in life, in your job, your profession, your business, whatever it is that you're doing, your family life, your relationships, or whatever the case is. So, it gives us a great opportunity to be good role models and be good influences on the kids.
The lessons and things that the kids learn at the football camp, they apply to life. Again, leadership, being on time, commitment. And I feel like even just playing football and coaching it pushes those kids to the limit. I push them to the point where they're gonna break. I've had kids out there ready to cry, but again, they figure it out, they get over it, and they keep going. They never give up, and those are life lessons. Don't ever give up on anything.
Don't ever give up, okay? Good job, way to finish. That's what it's about, finish.
It's funny, I know Don really likes to throw his camp for a lot of reasons, and one of them is gives the opportunity for kids to meet a professional athlete. For me, the first professional athlete I actually met was Don Narcisse. It was actually at church one day, and he ended up sticking around and signing autographs for us, and it's really interesting because it's a kind of a day I've never really forgotten before. So, the same things that he's telling the kids out there kind of really happened for me, and I think it was pretty important.
When I got a chance to meet James Murphy, it gave me a vision of a person that I can be. I can be just like him. When James Murphy retired, he had those 100 catches in that one season. In one season, I caught 126 passes. He got inducted to the Hall of Fame. I got inducted to the Hall of Fame. With those things, I got a chance to see the things that he did, and I tried to do the same thing that he did. And that's what the camp is all about. It's about getting kids off the sideline and getting them into the game. That game could be anything. With a little hard work, with a little staying focused, being on time. That's the same thing you need for every job that you have. So it's not about football. It's about giving these kids an opportunity to meet a professional athlete at a young age. I think I'd improve from where I started to where I'm at. That hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.